Hey everyone, it's Angus here. It's been quite a while since I've made a video, so I thought I'd better, update my Pionex bot video and sort of show people how it's been going to date. I keep getting asked, and I keep promising that I'll put one up, but I just never sort of seem to get around to it. Busy doing other things. I'm still, very actively trading. I spent the last probably, 3 or 4 months playing around with, heavily leveraged trade positions on MEXC. You can, not absolutely not trading advice, but, you can sort of leverage up to 200 times, your stake, and, it gets quite interesting at those levels. You've got very, very little room to maneuver. And you can certainly lose your money as quickly as you can make it. But playing the 1 minute candles on a 200 times leverage position is certainly exciting stuff, and you can't describe it as anything other than gambling. So not recommended, but that's what I've been playing with for the last few months. Anyway, so back to Pionex. Pionex is basically just grid bots. So I looked at a whole heap of different grid bot type sites. All the different sites offering grid bots, and Pionex was the one that I sort of settled on. I kind of find it the easiest to use. But more importantly, it has the greatest range of grid bots that I could find at the time. And I wanted to basically test all the different types of grid bot to try and work out which one would perform the best. So I think I've probably tried just about every single grid bot now. And there's heaps, there's heaps and heaps of different, bots that are available. But I covered all that in another video, so I don't want to sort of go through that. This is really just to show you the results and how they've been going. As always, all I'm doing to test these things, I just put $100 down, and I think I've had probably 15, 16 bots over the probably the last 12 months, maybe a bit longer than that. Might be 18 months to 2 years now. I forget, but I've just had them running. And the interesting thing is, when you first set them up, you normally have to define a range, and Bitcoin's been going through the roof. It's been going nuts. So I think we got up to 69,350. We haven't quite made 70,000 at the writing of this video, and could come to a screaming halt and go the other way. But you can see here that my $100, I put it onto a futures grid, 100 times long, so that's 100 times leverage of my initial stake. And you can see here that over the last 53 days, I don't know if you can read that, but it says 53 days there. It's up 3,000%. And so that's actual profit that I've made at this point. And I keep taking profit out. So, I think in the past it's been higher than that. But, again, I gradually take it out and I put into different bots or do different things. But you can see here the price range I've had to make. 30,000 was my base, and 100,000 is my upper limit. So I've just made 100 grids, and I've found that just through trial and error, I do think that a leveraged futures grid is the one that I personally would continue to trade. And I've tried ones without leverage, with leverage. I've tried everything from 0.1% through to 0.5% through to 0.05%. To 5% to 10%, just the different grid ranges. And 1% does seem to be the best level. Like I seem to get better results when I set my number of grids within, whatever I choose my range to be. I set my number of grids to about the 1% type mark. So again, within this, you can see I've got 100 grids. It's had 127 rounds. You can see my estimated liquidity price is 32,000. And I've had to put in quite a large amount of margin when I first started this grid up, just to make sure I didn't get stopped out when it started running. So, by putting in a bigger amount there, it just meant that I could protect my stop loss position. And if this grid bot keeps running, you can see here, pretend that it keeps going up at the same rate that it's going up, which it won't, of course. But, it's looking like I could potentially have a 21,000% return, which would just be nuts. So, more realistically, at the moment, because of this leverage, 3,000% to return might be something that I could expect, as long as Bitcoin doesn't come crashing down and stays around the same levels. But anyway, just to sort of show you that this is an extreme. On Pionex, you can't do more than 100 times leverage. I think that Grid bots are interesting. They tend to protect your downside, I think, better than just a straight, spot leverage type bot. I think grids are interesting. Grids seem to be a very, I don't want to say safe, but they seem to be, to me, a bit of a safer way to trade. If you just want to, put your hand in and, see how they go over time. Anyway, long ramble. Sorry, people, but that's just, I don't know what you know, and please feel free to skip through if you don't like anything of what I'm saying. But anyway, so 100 times long, good results. This is a grid bot that I've had probably since the start, 479 days, Ethereum and USDT, 147 type return, 147% return. So given how long this has been running, it's not something that I think is a particularly good system. I wouldn't put more money into that, but again, the current price is 3,800, so I'm halfway within my range, and it still beats the market, beats the stock market by any stretch of the imagination, which is where I mostly trade in. So that's a bot that's still running. BTC USDT, so grid trading. Again, this one's been running for roughly 480 days. You can see the range in this one is 10,000 to 100,000, 500 grids. I'm not quite sure what the grid distance is. I wonder if I can see that here. So see how this one's, that kind of that 1% type range. So, 195% type return. Again, I feel like this is fairly lowish risk. It's just sort of set and forget. And of course, I managed to buy all this stuff. So, these returns really aren't anything special because I did manage to buy Bitcoin, when it was at its lows. And I think that if you'd bought Bitcoin outright, you'd be sitting on around about a 300% profit. So if you ignored the grid trading up and down, you'd be sitting on around about 300%. So, these ones are, typically underperforming, what Bitcoin itself is doing. Infinity bot. So again, this one doesn't have an upper limit. So see, these ones have a range, 10,000 or 100,000. No range on this one. And again, you can see this 137 type percent return. So, not as good as that one. But, not too bad. Again, I don't know what parameters of this one are. 0.6, so, much lower, so more frequently trading than the others. You can see here, and it's had 7,800 transactions. This one's, theoretically had a, a much smaller number. Dollar cost averaging, martingale. I wouldn't waste my time with this one. It doesn't do anything for me. Barely sort of ticks over. Again, not a bad return on your investment, certainly better than a bank, but nothing particularly interesting. If I go to my history, so these are the orders that have closed. And so you can see I've just been experimenting with a whole bunch of different things. This one here was a 50 times long. Again, a $100 investment. The reason why I closed this one is it got past my upper limit. So you can see, 1,000% return. But because Bitcoin price is now above, 60,000, the bot basically stops running. So at that point, I may as well close it and take the profit out. Same with this one, $100 invested, 116% return. Again, 20 grids. So this is a 25 times long. So over 30 days, I basically, got 100% back. But again, it went out of range, so I had to close it. This is a 15 times long, 72% return, 30 days again, went out of range again. And so you can see I manually cancelled it. So I thought at one stage I'll try an experiment with this shorting. I made profit on it, so this one didn't make much on it, but I was probably trying to chase a pullback or something like that, and only ran for 10 days, but got back and got my money out of that one. But again, the market's so bullish at the moment that shorting just didn't do anything. But it does mean that, let's pretend that Bitcoin got to 70, 80, $100,000, and you thought, wow, that's really overbought, then you do have the opportunity to make money on the downside as well using these grid bots. You can chase the price from the top down to the bottom. Now this one here, again, grid trading. So this is one where I was chasing 1% profit per grid. So again, went out of range, manually cancelled it, 23% type return. BTC USD spot futures arbitrage. Don't even remember what that means. Again, profitable though. Leverage grid. Bullish BTC earn USDT, so 71% return over 160 days, so not too bad. $100 here, 33% return. This is where I was trying to get it to, sort of the lowest amount that I could, so that 0.1% type mark, 124%. Grid trading bullish BTC earn USDT. I don't know why I have all these ones that are very similar, but 1% over 7 days, not great, but not disastrous either. BTC leverage grid, so that was at 0.5%, and so you can see there that that was a 42% return over the 100 days. So this is where I'm trying to see if I can compare the percentages to put in as the grid range. So the 0.5% one ran for the same time as this one down here, which was 1%. So I got 42% off that one, 45% of that one. So the 1% was slightly better. This is where I tried for 2%, same 98 days, 48%. So much the same, but a little bit better on this one, I guess. So 2% was better. This one was 5%, and so making a liar out of myself. Maybe I should be trading it. Maybe I should be making all my grids 5%. So again, 98 days and 61%. But this is the point of experimenting. Like I had all the same values across all of these, and you can see that I definitely did better on the the higher amount of the higher width between the grids. That's what that 5% is. It's basically saying what's the width between your grids. So 4%, 5% to 6.5% between my grids, so a lot less grids. This one here, so you can see that closer to 2% type value, which is what this one is, and 15 grids compared to, I think it was 7 down here, and this one here, 1%, which was 27 grids. So in this case, the less grids, the better. I thought 1% was doing better for me, but I should perhaps practice my own logic and make them a bit wider. BTC futures grid, so that was a 15 times long. So again, 50% profit on that one. I don't know why, but $50 is probably just what I had at the time. 214% profit. So they've been quite good. This one here was probably where I was trying to play a bit of a pullback. So I went 100 times long on that one. And it's really important to know that you can go backwards equally quickly. So, I lost 138% of that one, got liquidated. And so the price must have dropped below that 25 grand mark and knocked me out of the trade. So I'm only risking $55, which, doesn't bother me, excuse me, as far as these experiments go. But, you wouldn't want to have big money on it, that's for sure. This one here, so again, another 100 times long, lost 146% on that one. Again, only $50. So again, just experimenting and trying different things. BTC futures grid, 15 times long, so lost 21% on that one. BTC futures grid, 10 times long, so lost 11% on that one. 14% on that one for 10 times long. And, a lot of this is just me trying to work out, how all these things work. BTC leverage reverse grid, bearish BTC, so lost 6% on that one. Futures grid gained 40% on that one. So that's been my track record since starting to use Pionex, and I'm obviously a long way ahead. Especially with these ones that are still running and still open. Bitcoin's obviously done pretty amazing things itself, but you can start to see the power. When I'm up 3,000% over 53 days versus 35% over 480 days. There's certain ones that I would use and other ones that I wouldn't. And as I said, at the moment, if I was in my head thinking, what would I do? And I saw, a currency that I thought had a, good chance of going up. I'm not suggesting Bitcoin at the moment because Bitcoin's a long way up, and if you had to guess, you think it might go, the opposite way. But if there was a coin that you thought had been oversold and was a long way down, perhaps using something like a small amount of money on a leveraged futures grid maybe with around a 5% grid distance, depending on how much you thought it was going up. And, if you're prepared to, buy and hold it for a longer period of time, could be an approach that I would use in the future. These 100 times longs can go the wrong way very, very quickly. And the only reason why this one survived as long as it did is I did put quite a bit of margin to bump up that liquidity price, or to push it down rather. The more dynamic margin you put in, and it's all really easy in the site, but the more money you put into this side of it, the further down it pushes this estimated liquidity price. So, my start price was 42. Without that amount of money there, my liquidation price might have been, I can't remember, it might have been around 38, I think. And I just wanted to give myself a bit more of a buffer. But, I can obviously do things like I can take that profit out. I can, adjust the margin. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I can do to manipulate that, once I'm into the trade. And, obviously, you can stop them, take your profit out, and, get into another asset. So, as always, my apologies, a longer video than I meant to make. But, once you start talking about this stuff, and I only probably make a video a year now, so I hope it was of interest to, someone. But grid bots are just a really easy, passive way of buying a asset, and letting it sort of move around a bit. And for me so far, as I said, I've been lucky that Bitcoin's done so well, but it has been quite profitable, even at $100 a throw. So just a bit of fun. But again, part of it was all about learning. All right, that's enough. Thank you, and you're welcome to leave any comments and feedback. And I wouldn't profess to be an expert in grid trading, but I certainly knew nothing when I started, and it does seem to be a nice, simple, passive way to trade while feeling that you're in the market. Anyway, that'll do. Thank you.